Besides, Anne doesn't think that Lombard's a very good influence.
And yields to group influence.
Are you going to be a bad influence?
She's a bad influence on you.
Do you imagine that I can influence the powers of darkness?
You're here to create history and influence what?
You have limited influence on me, Mrs. Lord.
Used their influence and their money in all their corporate power.
It's just, you're a negative influence on
Wealth provided me with considerable influence.
Suggesting that she and Eric are influenced.
The impertinence lies, sir, with those who seek to influence a man to deny his beliefs.
Oh, darling, no, you've got to study. Besides, Anne doesn't think that Lombard's a very good influence on you.
She suggested I go.
Well, that's very generous of her.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence.
2.
Very good.
Oh! Are you going to be a bad influence?
Of course I'm a bad influence.
She's my sister.
Oh, please. She's a bad influence on you and Leo.
She's ill.
Right.
You might have done better to have consulted a priest instead of a detective. Do you imagine that I can influence the powers of darkness?
Of course not. But I thought you might prevent Sir Henry from going.
It eats its own tail forever and ever. You're here to create history and influence what is to come. But I don't think I can do it.
Show them who rules Sin City.
You have limited influence on me, Mrs. Lord.
I haven't been doing so very badly.
But those two...
Ford Motor Company used their influence and their money in all their corporate power to take advantage of a situation.
Style? Look, it's nothing personal. It's just, you're a negative influence on me. Do you know that? I've done more murders in the last...
Of course, my wealth provided me with considerable influence. But I've tried, Chauncey, believe me,
1.4 million. Are you suggesting that she and Eric are influenced by money?
No, of course they're not influenced by money. They work for...
Before you called me up in front of this Inquisition of yours.
Don't be impertinent, little.
The impertinence lies, sir, with those who seek to influence a man to deny his beliefs.
On the contrary, little. We're appealing.
You're Cancer the Crab. You're a moon child. You're very much influenced by the moon. May I see your hand? You don't remember the hour of your birth by any chance?
Mr. Holland had a profound influence on my life, on a lot of lives, I know.
Everyone is assuming that the motive is hatred or revenge.
Or an attempt to influence the social agenda of the court.
What if the issue involved old-fashioned...
For Jimmy, and that can't be good for any of us.
You're telling me this, why?
Maybe you can influence him. Just make him listen to reason. I'm not kissing your ass.
Now, to us. Zone B, our area of influence. I wrestled from the French Baghdad Basra.
Hey! Morning, Father. Oh, this young man's been under a bad influence. Do you think you can help him? Every boy can be helped, Superman. I think you're right.
Doing.
Reaching out. Influencing. Changing things.
Maybe you're lucky you get out in 6 months. 6 more months influencing the child. Maybe you get 6 years for that.
Maybe we could work something out.
It happens to have killed man's faith in his ability to influence what happens to him. And out of this comes a sickness. A sickness of frustration. They want comics, contests, puzzles. They want to know how to bake a cake, win friends, and influence the future. Ergo, horoscopes, tips on the horses.
Consciousness.
What author has chiefly influenced you?
Gray.
Gray? What Gray?
Your parents brought. I mean, I felt it all to influence you.
Drew, Mr. Kessler's a European. This is Europe.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered. I have to say I was very influenced by your ideas on randomness and chance.
Oh. Well, the truth is what
It is not known if its publication and the ensuing protests influenced the decision of authorities. But in 1959, the old man was final.
That's very kind.
See how handy it is to know a man of influence?
Just for that, I suppose I ought to have one drink with.
Am I to understand that you would use your influence to assist this heretic?
Well...
Mr. Burton,
If you have an influence over your youthful friend, you better exert it now. Otherwise, I will have both of you roll off to the hell where...
As Ronnie DeFeo testified in court, he had been under the influence of something demonic.
3 years. 3 long, torturous years, no one and nothing had any influence whatsoever over Henry Young. No one and nothing. This was a man whose only...
How can he help? Does he have the influence to do something about this? Stop the execution?
No. Hey, trust me.
You'd be surprised how much he's influenced popular culture over the last 60 years. Agent Mulder was right.
Sir, the fact that he was a good friend of yours was not of undue influence upon you.
Let me know the intent of your question, Mr. Greetham.
We're trying...
You know who's bidding under the influence of the imperious curse. But here's the rub. How do we...
But Father, you've come dangerously close. You've been influencing the boy Theseus for years.
Yet as one of them. Never as a god.
Offer from the British government, Sir Evelyn?
No, my government renounces all influence over Sudanese affairs. This is a matter between you and General Gordon.
If I...
Of course, we do work close enough with them to exert some degree of influence, and we might just be able to take...
As to the importance of Ramanujan's work and the influence it may or may not have on the mathematics of the future, but one gift it does show is its...
My dear Agile, we must not allow ourselves to be influenced by irrational rumors of the Antichrist.
Gives loans and homes get built. But now, there's a new, darker influence in Cincinnati. Mr. Lease, if you would.
Most authority on the sea and its mysteries, you can be an excellent observer. Your observations will greatly influence public opinion, and we can either confirm or deny certain rules.
Any movie in particular?
Movies are the most powerful influence ever created. And they are infested with...
Always getting me and O'Brien into trouble?
Yeah, always socking somebody. You're a worse influence on me than women. Wouldn't be surprised if we got the electric chair for this.
Yeah. 1520s by a courtier of Henry VIII. See how they've used terracotta instead of stone? That's the Italian influence.
Through my influence, I saw to it Don Giovanni was played only 5 times in...
Robert, I have very little influence these days. I'm not at the agency anymore.
Wine is like people. The vine takes all the influences and life all around it. It absorbs them and it...
Command, and there's no sign of it yet. But then, I don't have Ensign Keith's influence.
Sir, I don't understand.